We're here.
Hi, Stuplubak.
How you doing, Dan?
We are here together. We're at where are we at?
The Renaissance in Schaumburg, Illinois.
And we're at Central States, well, I'm going to call it Money Show.
Yeah.
Because we're not going to say that word.
Yeah.
So here we are. We're going to go in and we're going to see what we can find.
Hopefully we can fill the bag.
And we're going to wheel and deal. Yeah, he's got a bag. We're equipped. I've got a backpack. I'm not going to bomb anybody. All right. We'll check back with you later. I did manage to get some notes, thanks to Pierre Frick, who's always got some affordable obsoletes, and Joe Peruski of Monroe Currency and Consulting. The three obsoletes are for my state collection, and I did pick up one 1914 large-size Mexican Revolution note that has got the coolest reverse ever. Man, you have to love that orange. Also picked up a really unique item that I've been wanting for a while because it combines two of my interests. That's going to be its own video. So it was a productive show, and I got some notes that you normally can't find on eBay. Stu did pick up a note, another 100 American Greatest Currency Notes. We'll hear more about that in just a bit. Well, we just got done Central States Money Show, Schaumburg, Illinois. Steve?
That's right. Long drive from Kenosha. Not. All of 45 minutes. You were right on time. We were a minute apart at the meeting spot. That worked out good.
It was awesome. So right now, because I did leave from Minneapolis, St. Paul at 3, got up at 3, left at 4, got down here, jumped into Steve's car, and we drove down. So it was great to talk, great to meet you for the first time. And you know what, guys? I got to hug Stuplubak.
Yep. In the parking lot in front of God and everybody. Yes.
We did it, and he let me, and it, you know what? And it comforted me. So
I'm here for you, Dan.
Thank you. Thanks, man. So what did you think today?
I thought it was interesting. I thought we saw a lot of neat items there. There was a lot of things I would have pulled the trigger on if I had a little bit more cash in my pocket. But that's one of the things I noticed about this show was that everybody seemed to have brought a lot of their primo stuff. So everything that looked interesting was well out of my budget.
I mean, we were talking about it, and it's one of the things I wanted to talk about was great, awesome, fabulous notes, a lot of great stuff. But like you said, it was, I mean, it just seemed to me, and it probably wasn't true, the average was $1,000 or more.
It did feel, well,
it felt that way.
I would have felt better if people would have told me that note was $1,000. The first note that I was looking at was a brownback, $5 brownback. And my little notes told me that they started at $450 to, maybe $900, $1,100. I asked, how much is that? She says, 19,000. I was like, oh, okay.
Even my knees buckled a little bit, and just the way he just said it, she did pause at the comma. 19,000. And it was 1882 from Florida.
Yeah, it was a Florida brownback. I understand the rarity there, but I just was I was fully expecting $1,900. Not that I had my Don Kelly book with me, so I don't know. Maybe that is an ultra rare one. But like I said, for the common notes, I knew that I was talking $450 for a grade 8.
We knew it would be a lot. Yeah. But you did pick up, you got your note, you checked off the box.
I got it, and I'll be showing it probably in the next week or two.
So I don't want to go into any more than that, other than it is part of the 100 Greatest American Currency Notes.
Of course.
So he got to check another box, which is, I believe that's kind of a cool goal for everybody. Check 1, check 99. Well,
yeah, you can't, but I'm up. That brings me up to 31 out of the top 100.
That's 30%.
That's huge.
But it's actually a higher percentage because is there like 5 notes that are seriously unattainable?
Many more than 5 notes.
So you're a higher percentage than
of the top 10. I think I have 6 of the top 10, and the other 4 are unobtainable, and that's just, you're talking about top 10 notes,
right?
So 40% of those aren't.
Well, so I know the watermelon is obtainable for you. So
the
grand watermelon.
The only watermelon attainable for me is the one that matches
this
one.
That's right. I know. That's. I'm in my 3rd trimester permanently also. So it was It was a big show. I mean, this is supposed to be one of the biggest, but it was still a really nice show. Kind of calm though.
Yeah, there weren't a whole lot of people. I was expecting a lot more people. Maybe it's just because today's Thursday. Um, Maybe there was a lot of people yesterday during setup because that was technically the initial. I mean, it says the 1st through the 4th, and today's the 2nd. But Wednesday is usually a setup day, I guess, or a dealer day or something like that.
Were you looking for anything else today?
Um, I had my eyes open for certain things. The $100 1914 Federal Reserve. That's probably going to be my next big get. Now that
That's a big get.
Well, now that I've gotten my Technicolor, it's not quite as a big a get as that.
Have they seen that yet? I mean, you haven't.
Actually, the day that we're filming this,
it's being shown today.
It went live the day we're filming this.
I didn't think I missed that because.
Yeah, it went live while you were driving down.
FYI, we're going back and forth, and so when Steve got the Technicolor note,
check that one. That's a big one.
That was you just texted us, and it was great. It was like when you're sincerely happy for someone to get a note, and that was a biggie. And
that was a long time coming, and it didn't even make me sick for that long. I mean, I don't care who you are. When you spend that much money, it's a sick feeling letting go of that money. Yeah, and then after you get the note, even though you've got it, there's that second of remorse. Like, oh, was that a good idea? And then a week later, you're like, oh, that was the greatest decision I ever made.
Wow.
And it was fun because going in here today, I was able to find probably 4 or 5 of the Technicolor notes graded the same as mine. So I was able to compare what they were asking for my price. And the closest was $400 more than what I paid for mine. That was the closest.
And that's always, hey, it's good to get a deal, but at least even if, let's say, hey, I paid a fair price, that's always nice to reconfirm that.
Yeah.
And that's, you can do that other places, but it's kind of nice to have that gratification.
Yeah.
And see the notes and hold them in hand. And that you brought it. So if you did want to comp it, it was cool. He brought it so I got to see it.
That's exactly why I brought it, just in case somebody had a much better deal. I could try to sell mine while I was here and buy the other one for
trade it.
I mean, that's what you got to do.
Deal guy. Deal. Yep, I get it. That's why you're Stuplubak, currency king.
Oh, God.
I know he hates it when I call him that.
Just a collector.
Just a collector. We are. So, like, getting back to the show and getting back to the prices, I mean, it was like walking up, it was a lot, and it was funny because they had, for the first time, I have not seen, maybe they probably have, and I've never noticed it, but they must have had 20 rows of tables, and they had the signs up above the tables, and Steve points up and, look, this is how we're treated.
Yes, way off in the corner.
Currency section.
Yep.
Yeah, and I don't even think it was a full row.
Yep, rows 1 through 19, and then off in the corner, currency.
But it was spread out too. But it's typical of what I've seen. Right, you see coins, and they 4 boxes of coins and 1 of currency if you're lucky. But
endless tables of coins, and then the occasional bit of currency, and so few experts. Genuine experts in.
Well, you ran into a guy. You want to talk about that guy?
Which guy?
The asshole guy. Just gonna say it.
That doesn't narrow it down.
Well, I mean, he was the one on the end that it was challenging. It was the first when you were looking at the date back.
I was looking at a $5 date back national second charter period, and it just did not look right. The border, it had a wide border all the way around, and the printing on it just looked odd. I don't want to say there was a counterfeit, but to me, it gave the impression of a replica. Now, I will be the first to admit that I do not have a value back. I do not, I've never gone over them with a fine-tooth comb to understand exactly what it was. So maybe it's just my interpretation, but to me, the note looked funny. And one of the first things that I ever learned is, if you question anything about it, just walk away.
Yeah, right. Good advice.
Yeah, I mean, that's the simplest thing to say. If you have any doubt whatsoever, just walk away. And I know you guys heard me say in the past, the time to buy it is when you see it. Well, yeah, but you got to use a little common sense too.
If you feel, I mean, it's just like anything. It's a similar feeling. If it's too good of a deal, that's too good of a deal. It's kind
Right.
of that way. But it was funny because the guy was a cocky guy and he had coins too, so that's probably what made him that way. But all of a sudden, I kind of walk away because Steve's doing what he's doing, and I didn't stalk him as much as he thought I would, um, at least with the camera on.
At least
But
that I know of.
right,
Wait till they see the B-roll.
exactly. But the guy all of a sudden, I hear the guy say, "Yeah, but you haven't handled." I'm like, okay. So I'm like, okay, I got to see this. Right, so I walk up and I just look in the case and I'm looking at it, and it did have a very different tone.
It was a very
I'd almost say it
peculiar-looking note.
like children's construction paper like look type. It wasn't exactly that, but it did look odd.
It had an odd look, almost like it was cut from a sheet all by itself.
Yeah, along with the margins didn't quite.
Right. So maybe it was.
Yeah,
but
it probably was fine, but
it just looked weird.
the guy just called expert on him right away, and it's like, and I don't mind people letting people know that of their knowledge, but it's like he has no idea how much Steve does or does not know, and to say, this is the customer service aspect that's never there.
Didn't he also let us go with, well, thanks for looking?
Right. He gave us, gave us the shot, the thanks for looking, which is, by the way, what 999 out of 1,000 people at every booth do. That you look.
You know what that's code for.
Yeah. That's. But, for me, it was just a little bit, and you get used to it. And I guess if you're going to shows, you got to get used to it. And for the dealers, it's not easy for them either. Easy, because most of them do want you to approach, but I look at dealers and I know they got a lot of inventory, but how much time do we sit there and waste waiting for a price, waiting for this? And everybody, that's what it's all about. Why can't you either have a sheet that's just ready with what's out there, or put your damn price, or turn the price up? I don't understand why they.
I mentioned this when I talked about going into coin shops. Coin shops will always have their box of currency that they'll price when they buy it. And if it doesn't sell, they never change the price. So if the note's been sitting there for 10 years, you're getting a price from 10 years ago.
And shame on them for not changing at least a little bit.
But they priced that note, regardless of the price, they priced it with profit built into it.
Done.
So regardless of what the Freeburg book says, they're going to make a profit on that note because of how it's currently priced. Even though if they priced the note at $100 10 years ago, and now that note is worth $500, well, they only have $50 in it.
Yeah.
So I mean, why not put the price on there? To me, that's the greatest sales point they can use, because if they price the note at its value at the time that they buy it, chances are the note's only going to go up in value.
And again, I'm not a dealer, but I mean, I would like at least maybe there's a color code system, because I get why they don't want to put the prices up, because maybe people won't ask. But people do. I mean, how many of you out there do you really feel comfortable asking for the price? It makes everybody feel uncomfortable.
Yeah. Now you have to wait to get their attention, and then they got to go find a key, because of course all their currency's together and they're dealing with all the coins, and we're just currency people. And yeah, it would make it so much easier if they would just do that.
Right. And the toughest thing, what was not there with this show, there was a lot of folks carrying currency. So that's great.
Yeah.
A lot of expensive currency, but let's just say, okay, I can bankroll that. I'll just sell my wife into slavery. But it was so cool to see all the notes. But there wasn't what we had talked about. Where is the $200 to $800 notes? Or even, I've been to coin shows where there's 3 or 4 where you're going through boxes. And so there was a 4 of folks with World Bank notes there. And I'm like, oh, great. They have very well organized here. Go through them. Well, I'm pulling them out. Even they were like, I'm sorry, I'm not going to pay that type of money for that. But still a good time.
I understood what you were going to do. I mean, they've got them in order by country. I knew you were going to go through just looking for, certain colors and stuff like that, and expecting to pay, a couple bucks for the notes.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, 15 for something, or maybe 30 if it was really cool graded.
Sure.
Maybe 200. All right. So I got to say thanks, by the way, before I forget. Thank you. So, the budget in cash, because it's like, this is the other thing. they don't take Venmo, they don't take Zelle, they don't take credit card. And I get the credit card 3.5. I'll have to charge you more, and I'm like, fine.
Yeah. Before you say that, it's not that they don't. It's some people don't. I'm sure some people do in there.
Well,
Yeah,
but
everybody that we encountered.
Encountered, and this is Steve. This is like the fifth one. They don't do it because it's like that service is going to cost them 1-2%, and that's fine. If your bill is $100, charge me $103.50.
Right.
Because I feel comfortable carrying amount of my cash around? I don't.
That's actually a really good point, because the stuff that we're looking for is the $200, $300, $400 stuff, the $500 stuff. The stuff that's being sold in there is $19,000.
Right.
So there are not people carrying. Well, maybe there are more people carrying around $19,000 than I can imagine.
Well,
but you would think that they would be a little more friendly on the purchase side.
So I mean, it's like, yeah, I only gonna have so much cash, and I spent my cash and then found something that was a little extra that I'll talk about later. But thanks to Steve, it's coming home with me because he floated me $300 to get it. But again, I'm just like, I'll pay you back.
I know where you.
You do. You could find me.
You live up there.
Just look for the heat target on the map. But I'm like, you know what? In the video comments or whatever, I'm just curious about that. Why don't you take those electronic form payments? And I am more than happy to pay them. I think anybody would. I mean, I get that it costs a little bit more money but they lost. Sales were lost today because I did have the funds.
Just not the cash. Yeah.
Just not the cash. And my biggest decision, and Steve found it for me. My biggest decision was, do I get 5 notes, 4 notes? What did I get? 5 notes today. Mm-hmm. 4 notes and, well, technically 5. Mm-hmm.
4 notes in a box.
4 notes in a box. And
or
one big note. And it's a note that was it was the Federal Reserve $500 bill, Minneapolis.
I would have got that.
And have you seen a price like that? I know I haven't.
No, and then we saw the one right after it, and you said, don't even ask other price.
No, right, because it was actually obviously a lower grade.
Yes.
So Steve, that was the fun part for me. Hey, Steve, why don't you point out every Minneapolis note that I can't buy? That's super fun. Glad I came to here. No, it was great. It was great walking around with you. What any other takeaways for you?
I was thinking back to some of the small shows that I've been to where people actually had 3-ring binders of notes. Mm-hmm. I saw one person with a 3-ring binder, and it was under glass, and you just happened to walk by, and is that a Washington? And I was like,
right.
What's he talking about? That was it. That was the only. Did you see any other binders?
And that is your absolute. And I think those are the guys. I found that's how I got my 1901 legal tender.
Right.
The Bison, that's how I got that. It was in a binder, and it was, I had to flip like 15 pages, and I'm like, there it is.
Right. I did not see a single binder.
Nope. Other than that one guy, and it wasn't a case. I'm like, what?
Yeah, and it wasn't a 3-ring binder, but it was a binder.
Might as well. Yeah,
it had like 6 pages in it, and it was like a currency book, but not really. Yeah.
So this was a little. I don't want to say it's disappointing, because it's always good to come to a show. It was good, and again, if you're near a regional show, if you're, I think it's worth driving down here. I get the bonus of hanging out with Steve tonight. We're going out to 2 dinners because I'm just one big fat man and I got to eat twice.
I'm with you.
Yeah, and it's like, how often do you get to come down and get into the Milwaukee? We're in Chicago, Schaumburg area, but we're up in Kenosha where Steve is at, and we're going out to dinner and going to take in a little local cuisine, which is, I like
this will not be a candlelit dinner. This will be a many beers, maybe Long Island's dinner.
Yeah. I brought my own candles.
Oh, God.
I know.
Wouldn't surprise me. You should have saw all the stuff this guy's pulled out of his pocket so far today.
Hey, the backpack, we got to do things right, So
what you don't know is from behind that camera, he has a ring light set up, which broke, and he had to fix with tape that he had also brought. and we're not going to talk about his handheld mic.
We were prepared to have a handheld mic just in case, because we saw people. I mean, okay, so we didn't talk about that. It was cool to see Ben the Coin Geek, say hi, sit down, blah blah. Always good to see him. But it's just cool. We still ran into
two different people that
yeah.
actually recognized
Yep.
us. Yeah.
Yep.
The first guy was Steve, because you kept calling him
I
anything
kept
other
calling
than
him like
Steve.
Doug, even though his name's Steve.
Yep.
Steve, I'm really sorry about that, because he's viewers. He watches.
Yep.
And what was weird is that he literally is in his town borders my town, so we're less than literally 10 minutes away. So, and he was a good guy.
Right.
So any coin collector that floated over to currency, I might add.
Right. And then we also ran into Bill
Bill?
from Chicago.
Yep.
Bill told me he was going to look for us out here.
And Bill, congrats on the purchase. I mean, he got 2 purchases today, right?
Well, he got one really nice purchase.
Yeah,
Purchase. I don't know about the smaller stuff, but that.
Well, he got the battleship, and he got the really cool single-sided, or the uncut sheet of the 1-2 Obsoletes.
Correct.
And that was cool on that really super thin tissue paper.
Right.
But that was cool. So,
but his
kudos
battleship, that was nice.
Battleship was super nice. He spent some
35,
quality money.
I think
it was a 35. It was.
Yeah, and it was sweet. It was a nice note.
Yeah. So
good job,
to that.
Bill.
Yes. So anyways, just encourage you to come, and it's like, if you've got a regional show that's closer, it's cool to come to. So anyways, that's...
Yeah. It's easy for us to diss a coin show, because it's a coin show.
It is a coin show, as much as we want to call it a money show.
But it's all we have. So yeah, don't get the wrong impression. I mean, this was a very cool show to attend. I don't regret coming to the show at all.
No.
It's just very easy for us to be bitter that there's 100 tables of coins, and there's a third or maybe a quarter of that, maybe less than that have currency.
Well, and the whole shopping experience too, that the coin folks have to deal with the same thing.
Yeah.
Pricing, all that, wait this, don't do that.
Yeah.
And it's one of those things. And that's why when you go to a table and you see prices and you see that it's easy, and I don't know why they don't price. I'm going to get back. I'll get off that subject. Anyways, but it was super easy to get to right off the freeway.
Yeah.
I mean, you get, I think from both directions, well, maybe not, but it was super easy to get to. And that was cool.
Yeah,
so,
this particular
kudos
location
to this
especially.
venue.
Yeah.
Great venue.
Yep.
But after the show, Stu and I went back to Kenosha, Wisconsin, and he took me to an old school drive-in. I haven't been to one of these in years. I had one of the best hamburgers I've ever had, along with these things called cheese squares. They're not cheese curds, but squares. The place was called, appropriately, The Spot, and it was. They even had homemade root beer. Man, it seriously was so good. And yep, we ate in the car like it was our first date. But I didn't break out the candles. The Spot was fantastic, and it's been open since 1945, so it has a ton of history, which I appreciate. This is the type of restaurant every town wants to have. But we weren't done. The Spot was just an appetizer. Stu said I had to have real Chicago-style beef, so yep, we went over to Bona Beef, and I even threw in some fries. And to answer your question, yes, we both had the meat sweats. Thanks, Stu, for hosting me and hanging out all day. It was really great to walk the show, and I appreciated and needed your help. We really did have a good time. That's it for video number 55, Stu and Dan's Currency Adventure. I appreciate your time, and if you like what you see, please hit the thumbs up button, subscribe to the channel, and feel free to leave a comment. Thanks for checking in, and we'll see you with Currency Roundtable number 8 sometime in mid-May with guest panelist Silver Surfer.